34 seasons, no television program has satirized pop culture, music, and politics like Saturday Night Live. The show stayed current by parroting the debates and running 3 editions of Weekend Update Thursday through October. And with Tina Fey playing Sarah Palin, SNL is seeing some of the highest ratings it's had in years. Here is a look.
But again, and not to belabor the point,
He does not plan to make his election night remarks in a hotel ballroom, but rather on the hotel lawn to a select group of journalists. The speech is reportedly titled, "Hey, you damn kids, get off my lawn." On Wednesday, Barack Obama danced live by satellite for The Ellen Show in an attempt to prove that he's not a Muslim, but rather very, very white.
Solid. Yes, it is. Solid as Barack. That's what this show is. That's what we got. Don't forget to vote for me.
If you want to know the genius of Saturday Night Live, there are many places you can go, including Darrell Hammond. Here is what Tom Shell said about him. What Hammond does is beyond lampoonery or caricature. It is on the elevated plane of a truly gifted political cartoonist. It's 2 parts genius and 1 part more genius. Here is a composite of some of Darrell's characters.
Saddam, are you still there?
Who is that? One of your Jewish friends?
No. Well, yes, sort of.
Hey, Saddam.
Monica, you never call me anymore.
Mr. Connery, why don't you pick?
It looks like this is my lucky day. I'll take the rapists for 200.
That's therapist. That's therapist, not the rapist.
I promise you I will lie about it. I will do this. I will do this. I will do them both together. Everything is good. God bless you, America. And Colin, thank you.
Bill Clinton, everybody.
Here to explain it, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Tina. And thank you, America. For the record, I did not contact the Taliban. They, in fact, contacted me.
Joining me now is Lorne Michaels. He is the show's creator and executive producer. Jim Downey, the show's head political writer. Seth Meyers, the host of Weekend Update and head writer. And 2 writer-performers, Fred Armisen, who portrays Senator Obama. And in his 14th season, Darrell Hammond, who plays Senator McCain, as well as many others, as we showed you. Politics has been very good to you.
Yeah, no, it's been a very good year, starting with when the writer's strike ended in February and we came back on, and Jim did that debate piece, and Tina was hosting, and she did that piece on Update about Hillary and Bitches the New Black, and it sort of gave some life to it.
Did you know then it was going to get this good, though?
I think, you know, it's been said before, but I think when you start drawing 70 or 80 million people to watch a debate, the whole country is
an interest.
Yeah. And so we don't have to lay in the straight line. We don't have to spend time on that. Everybody, you can do. In one of the last debate thing, there was McCain wandering in front of the cameras, and when we did it at Dress, the audience was just there. That we didn't have to explain what it was from because everybody had seen the debate.
The Tina thing was obvious, except you had to talk her into it.
There was a little of that, but I think the audience really just cast her in that part. And the great part about it was that just about everyone thought it was their idea. You know, like from the...
You mean he did.
No, just audience.
Oh, the audience
would just say, you know, that's what a gift. You know, like it started right at the convention. As soon as she came on stage, people go, you know, who'd be great doing that was
Tina.
Yeah, exactly, because the glasses.
What's the key to getting a character? Is it voice? Is it what?
Well, you know, one of the things about doing a voice on our show is that, you know, it's not like you have a year or a month or really even a whole week to prepare for it. It's probably a day or 2, you know, most of the time. So I try to break it down into where are they from, how much dialect did they retain, maybe a couple of hand gestures tonal quality, and hopefully they'll have some sort of speech regularity.
Most of them do.
No, well, most people have something about them that's idiosyncratic, but
Yeah.
lots of people are really tough who just have perfect speech.
Yeah. It is said that Senator Obama is one of the harder ones to do. Because you guys would know from the writing standpoint, there was a sense of how do you capture the humor about him.
He himself is a very smooth character. Doesn't give you a lot of fat handles.
Yeah.
You know.
Not a lot of defining.
Yeah, a lot of, well, we call them handles, but just things that you can get at right away. I mean, he's we know him mainly from speeches, I think.
Yeah.
And those are always tough because it doesn't.
He hasn't. The truth is, he hasn't done a lot of interviews in terms of. He hasn't been here during the entire campaign. They made one meet the press.
Yes, I don't know. We're
aware of this.
Yes, we're aware of it. Yes. I think they're, on a certain level.
Especially aware.
Yes, they're not. They think they already have our support. We go out of our way to be bipartisan. And I think that's our role because whoever wins the day after, we'll be doing that. So.
Senator Clinton fell in love with the one when you made Obama so, didn't she? Is that?
Yeah. Jim wrote that one, and I remember calling Jim after she mentioned it in that second debate.
Yeah. You called him and said, "What? She's now talking."
Senator Clinton just mentioned your sketch, and now Jim for Jim to be a supporter of the.
No, I have to say that I would have. I was telling this to Lauren that. If he'd said like, "Hey Jim, Senator Clinton's here. You come up to my office," and I would have been scared to death because there were things in that piece that were not friendly to her. And but I guess the overall.
Yeah. Why?
Well, they were. I mean, it's just funny how people will see the thing they've been saying amongst their supporters,
right, exactly,
and they don't see anything else in the sketch. Because as Jim said, I mean, there were plenty of hits on Hillary in that piece. But the one thing, that we pointed out that the press was in love with Obama, like they felt like they'd been saying that on deaf ears, to deaf ears.
Exactly right. That happened. I mean, it really did. After that Saturday Night Live, people sort of said, they got a point.
Well, no one reads the press more avidly than the press. So and Jim, pointed out that the press was in a swoon over Obama,
and some acknowledged it.
And some and
people
then
like
there was a lot
Kurt
of
Anderson and Michael Kinsley and a bunch of others. Yeah. Let me come back to doing Obama, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what's been the arc of that for you?
It was a lot of work. Yeah. It was a lot of discipline. I spent most of my summer listening to his audiobook.
Yeah.
And just as I would listen to music, I just listened to him speak. And it was just something that I had to do pretty much every day. And I had to hope that I got it. And it's something that I still work on. It's not as simple as, I nailed it right away. I mean, I keep working at it. So I listen.
And how do you feel you've added to it in terms of, from week to week?
I think just a little bit of the speech pattern.
Yeah.
That's probably what I hope I accomplished. But I listen to him as much as I can,
The interesting thing about Obama in terms of the speech is I think if he goes all the way, we will look back at speeches. First of all, the speech against the war,
right,
when he was a state senator, speech at the convention, the speech at the Iowa caucus,
right,
the religion speech.
Absolutely.
It is speeches that have defined the potential president, more than anybody I've seen in a long time.
Right.
Not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that Fred, Obama, you have to sort of wait for Obama himself to add to the source material. And that's what I was saying earlier, that it would seem to me, we know him almost exclusively from speeches. And then in the debates was the first time we started to see a little bit in the Democratic debates, but then he was one of 7 candidates or whatever out there. But it was with McCain that I think we're starting to add to that store.
Yeah. Who was the easiest for you to do of all these people? Clinton the easiest?
Clinton's probably closer to my own voice.
And it's easy for you to look closer to Clinton, don't you?
Yeah, I mean... That's true. I mean, that's been the one that, when I go around and play clubs and stuff, that's what they want.
They want Clinton, most of them.
They want Clinton.
Why is that, you think? Because it's so, like, they want...
Well, I was going to say...
So right on.
Yeah, I was going to say about what Fred did is, in our world, it's not enough to just be accurate. The audience does not applaud for accurate.
What do they applaud for?
Nor do they applaud for well observed. They applaud if it serves the writing, and it's funny, and it seems an original point of view. I think that's what we do at our best, and I think that you have to get the voice, you have to get the attitude, the take on it, and then if you're very successful with it, as Daryl is with Clinton, it becomes a character. Yeah. And when you see, when Dana Carvey used to do the first President Bush,
41.
It was, because it was a long run there, and we went to it often, and when I'd see the real 41. He was somewhat disappointed. It didn't seem enough like, he wasn't doing that good.
He's not being himself.
Yeah, exactly. And
we tried to show him who he was, right. And will he please stand up to the character we've given him?
Daryl's Clinton, they're just automatic. They just go with it. They know they're ahead of the jokes often, because he can do things, and I don't think it's so much. I mean, President Clinton could make a case that some of the things that character does are things he wouldn't do.
No, the times that I've been around him, he's always been very gracious.
Is he really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain...
As was Cheney, do you know what I mean?
Cheney was very nice. Went to a couple of Christmas parties at his house, and he was really fun.
Oh, really?
Really
Did
fun.
you know this?
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Cheney being seems a little more surprising.
He was really nice. I don't know what to say.
Was he?
Yeah, he's always been very kind.
I think we were not one of his big problems.
There's no one, and it's an interesting question, there's no one sort of does what we do here, but there's no one like Saturday Night Live, period. After what, 27? How many years?
34.
34.
This is the 34th season.
I remember doing the 10th anniversary,
yes.
the anniversary,
Yeah.
the 20th anniversary, the 25th anniversary.
We come here
34.
so often.
I know you
Exactly,
come here
yeah.
every so often. But no one is doing what you do. Now, why is that?
Well, I think we're in a different tradition. I mean, we're not so much commentary; we're performance.
Right, exactly.
And that's a different way of approaching it. A monologist or someone commenting is also a long tradition. I mean, going back to Will Rogers and Twain and all that. That we do another kind of reality.
You were the head writer as well as Weekend Update. Which would you rather do if you had to choose?
I think.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah, this is non-binding. Non-binding.
Yes. Think about this conversation.
Yes, right. Yes.
Look, being head writer for that show is a dream come true. I mean, you work with an amazing staff of people, and basically, you just sort of look at the stuff they hand you, and most of it's great to begin with. But it's for me.
What does the head writer do?
You mostly just run triage on stuff. I mean, that's the best way to put it. I mean,
No, because I was head writer for a long time.
Right. Yeah. Everybody else is a very specific sort of surgeon, and they all do what they do incredibly well. Head writer is sometimes, you have to cover some story late in the week, or maybe you work on a monologue.
And you also have to write.
Yeah.
Seth writes a lot of stuff.
It's also you mostly lead by example.
Lead by example. Show him what this show is about.
Yeah.
What kind of script? What kind
I
of
also want to point out how good he is doing Weekend Update. That's separate.
Yeah.
And he'll never have to choose, will he?
Exactly.
Of course, he'll never have to choose between those two things, will he?
That would be a complicated choice.
You've been there how many? You've been 8 years?
This is my 8th year, yeah.
How have you seen it change?
Well, it's been, my perspective on the show has changed because I started as a cast member and then sort of came around to sort of the writing side. And sort of when you come around to being head writer, you realize that the show is not by design vengeful and trying to hurt you as an individual. But the show is a meritocracy, and each week I think the best stuff gets on air. So that's been. But I feel like this is sort of the best group, sort of as chemistry goes, that I've been around. It's a really good group. I think we're all very close. I think going through the writer's strike that we went through sort of helped us appreciate each other and how lucky we are to do the show. And but this year has been unique to anything I've ever experienced in my year.
Because this has been the most interesting political year, and the characters are so interesting. You had Hillary and
we have to reflect what's happening. So if what's happening isn't interesting to begin with, it's really hard to get people to pay attention to it based on SNL. If they're already paying attention to it, they'll then turn to SNL to see what we're doing about it. But even 4 years ago, I mean, the election had nothing like this.
Yeah, and also there's the after, there's the after effect of the internet. So now people, will download one of the debates. It gets sent around. People in Finland are enjoying it. So it has people email it to each other, and you get, on Hulu, which NBC is part of. They you're getting 30, 40 million. Downloads.
Someone said there was 25 million hits for the Tina Fey.
Yeah, for the first one. Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm saying people want to see it, and so people DVR, people, and so people see it 2 or 3 times, and and also I think there's a big audience, obviously, that has to be there at the moment that it happens, which is sort of what we'd prefer, but the echo is loud.
It has to be live?
It has to be live.
Does it really?
If it wasn't live, we'd be discussing it for months. You'd
never be ready to go to take it.
I always say that we don't go on because it's ready. We go on because it's 11:30. And it just concentrates everyone.
It's like in college there were people who would never get their term papers turned in, but they were good at exams. And that's us.
Yeah. You can score when it's time.
Can't be nice. When it averages out.
Yeah. You've been there 16 years? How long?
This is my 14th.
14 years. Mm-hmm. Why do you stay?
I don't know. First of all, I love it, and I feel, I have a special feeling for the show. What ends up happening is that the people who are involved in the process have a discussion every summer, and it's not a weird thing or an unpleasant thing, but it's just sort of should you do this one more time, and the answer has been so far yes, but I never really came there expecting to springboard. In
other words, this was not to go somewhere else.
No, it wasn't. It was to be here, just to be on the show. That's all I ever wanted.
And have there been characters you've tried that didn't work for you and you said no?
I don't think I've ever said no, but I think that there have been some, over the years that just don't play that well. I mean, when you have a couple of days to do it, you're always on the clock, and you don't know when you don't know when you're going to be able to do it. And there certainly have been some that I didn't get well, but in a merciful fashion, they never really made it.
These were the mercenaries.
These are the mercenaries right here.
How did you choose Fred for Obama?
We did auditions, and he and I talked about it, and I thought that he would have. I thought he would have the best take on it. And I thought also, all of Fred's characters, I mean, when he does Prince, for example.
Right, exactly.
That has this other reality where I think even Prince, on a certain level, acknowledges that it's like Prince. So
he doesn't like it, though.
No.
He doesn't. Why doesn't he like it?
He's incredibly supportive of it. But what I mean by it is there's something warm and likable about his approach to his characters.
Let's look at the Cleveland area. Let's get in really close. Really, really close. Move it over. You can see the top of a warehouse.
I think the same with Daryl. I think there's, and unless, I think the writing points out the parts that are inconsistent or awful, but the character itself has to be somebody that you want to watch and that you get excited when it shows up. And that's a hard thing to grasp, because if you don't like the person you're doing, you tend to the natural instinct would be to play it as to indicate that the person is somebody you don't admire. Whereas the English, one of the great things they do is they play villains great. They always find the way into a villain to make the villain, and those early Bond villains, they're the most fascinating ones because they make them likable.
Yes.
They're awful, awful people, but
they chose good actors to play them, exactly, and therefore they made them interesting.
And
they gave them
another dimension, and you understand why that they can also have charm. because there are awful people with a lot of charm, you know. And I'm not going to name names. Yeah.
When is Amy coming back?
We don't really know. You know, it's it was just
Archie will determine.
Yeah,
Archie will determine.
We didn't feel it was right to ask in the delivery room, but
we'll ask.
We were thinking, weren't
for
we?
sure. Yeah.
It won't be long either, will it?
Yeah. No.
No. But before you ask.
Yes.
No, before you ask.
I did, as the day was going down on Saturday, I emailed her husband, who was with her. Did he think she would make? You know, would this be done in time for the show? Because
you have.
She went into labor at 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and she came that close to getting paid for the week.
Yeah, it was so close.
Another
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure.
I know. Yeah.
So the last minute, Lauren thought that she might not have the baby. Lauren thought she might like the show enough.
Yes.
It was like, you thought it was a really hot year.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, just another
apparently
4
made a
weeks.
decision.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now, Fred also plays Prince, as you said, but there was any question about having someone who was not an African American play an African American in this case?
There was a lot of and we did, as I said, we did audition a lot of people, and
including some African Americans.
Yes, and I think
was getting it.
Just came down to we thought that he was the best choice, and also each debate, each time Fred's done it, including that last clip you showed with Maya last week, that we did last week, he's great at it. So
what happens who's your partner for Weekend Update?
We're going to do it like we always do at SNL and play it by ear.
Yeah, we're going to keep talking.
We're looking, are we?
Yes. We're looking and we're not looking.
Yeah. And what happens to Sarah Palin?
If she becomes vice president,
it'll be fun.
It will be. I don't think Tina Fey will be doing that anymore. Yeah. You'll do, you know. But
although we don't say no, do we?
No. Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think she's got 30 Rock. She's got her own series to do, and it was really hard for her in terms of time requirements. In terms of the very first show we did with Senator Clinton and Governor Palin. Yeah. She was filming that Saturday. She was filming a 30 Rock episode all day with Oprah, and then came to the studio at 7 o'clock. So people have really stepped up for us.
All right, let me look at some clips here. Roll clip. This is McCain asking Obama to apologize to Joe the plumber. Here it is.
Just a few moments ago, my opponent slandered my very best friend in the world, Joe the plumber.
Thank you.
That's
it's all Jim Down.
That's all Jim. Only Jim could have written that.
Now, why do you say that?
Because it's.
I remember Harvey.
Because it's a very silly take on a very serious subject.
Yeah.
And so it's disarming in the old meaning of the word.
Yeah. How do you decide who writes what?
Jim, on most political stuff, takes the lead. And which works out very well for us.
You've now been profiled in New York Observer. I mean, you're becoming an icon in your own being.
Yes. My tiny little field. Yeah. But I used to write a lot of the political stuff with Al Franken, who soon to be may very well be a U.S. senator. And we've been doing that since. Since we didn't cover the election of Reagan, but we did a lot of Reagan material because we left in the spring of 1980.
Right.
But it's been a long time.
Roll tape. This is Will Ferrell as Bush endorsing McCain. Yourself, sir?
I mean, it has been all hands on deck for these, 10 shows we're going to do in 8 weeks. We've had, Chris Parnell come back, Maya Rudolph come back, Tina Fey come back, Will Ferrell come back. So everybody's really helped out. Obviously our staff is working.
Amy's the only one who let us down with that.
Yeah. It was a bad timing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was bad timing.
Yeah,
right. What happens after November 5th?
The ratings plummet. There's severe budget cuts, and we go back to our normal.
There's a lot of unlikable characters.
We dwell in obscurity.
Back to what? 4 million viewers rather than 8?
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, seriously, what happens after?
There were some kind of coup. And the election were suspended.
And in 2000, we got held over.
We got what?
We got held over in 2000.
2000
because of the Florida.
Yeah, that made that was good.
That could happen again.
Yeah.
It would probably be Indiana this time.
It would be too obvious it was Florida.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can manufacture a crisis, couldn't we?
Exactly.
Manufacture a crisis.
Yeah.
if you would kick in on that and help us out, we might get something going.
I think that this is a time in American history where most people are paying attention. I mean, if it isn't the election, it's the markets. There's a lot of change happening, and it's accelerating, and people, and we're a safety valve.
But what can you do about the economic crisis? I mean, it's easy for, say, it's easy for the Daily Show to do that because they got all those clips,
right?
Like Greenspan testifying before Congress,
right?
That's a gift from God.
Yes. Our Greenspan is not that good.
We're all taking a course in learning economics.
To be ready.
Kick in by Thanksgiving.
Amy is not here. She gone home? Taking little Archie back?
She's almost home. I think she's almost home.
These days, after 2 days, they
back to work in a week.
Yeah. In an ideal world.
In an ideal world for Saturday Night Live.
Exactly.
You know what's great is to watch the five of you watching it and all laughing.
And also that woman is a week away from having a baby.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing when I watched it the first time.
It's great because it's so good you forget she's pregnant, and then you recognize it at the end.
Yeah.
And how about luring of Sarah Palin to do the show?
We were contacted by the McCain campaign, and we heard when the first one we did, Senator Clinton and Governor Palin, but the reaction was favorable. I think
on both parts, or certainly on the part of Palin and McCain.
Yeah, and so they said we just look for a date. We were there was a date. The week before that, Obama was supposed to do the show, but that was
supposed to do the show.
Yeah, and that was the week of the hurricane. In Texas.
What did you want Sarah Palin to do that she wouldn't do?
She did everything we asked her to do.
There were a few lines in the original draft of the rap, but they were all very appropriate things to ask to be taken out.
Right.
Yeah. But she was great. She was a very good sport.
You always want to feel they're turning down something.
Yeah, I know. You kept yourself
later.
Enough, have you?
You haven't
to live with
I also wrote a little thing that she did for our election special, the Presidential Bash, which is airing election eve at 9 o'clock,
right?
EST. And she did this little 2-minute thing that was like she did one take.
Yeah.
And I almost never have liked something that was the first take, and you always want to do a second one just so you can feel you picked the best of two. Yeah. And we just couldn't find a reason to ask her to do it again. So
yeah, no,
good. She's a performer.
Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, it's evident.
As good as I've ever seen.
Yeah, and really low maintenance in terms of not overthinking everything and just
came in to do
I
it.
made her into sax or something, but
you didn't do that scene, did you? You could have done that. That would have been easy. We didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
No, that would have been easy.
Yeah.
What if you wanted to do that was just too far?
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about what they have. I remember when John McCain did a piece that I'd originally written for Daryl to do, and then we held it. And then I was thinking I'll probably cannibalize it later for parts, And then Senator McCain himself came for the last show of the season, and it was basically a standard McCain thing where he's talking about all the pork and all the ridiculous projects he's fought. And there was a couple jokes that I knew he'll never do this, but God, if he did, it would be great. And one of them was him complaining about a Justice Department program, $50 million to notify convicted sex offenders when a child moves into their neighborhood. And of course, when the script, it's Jim, would you go talk to Senator McCain and his people? And I go, huh? What about? Oh, that's bad. I wonder what
have I seen this before?
Yeah. So, and I ended up Daryl did it in a debate case. Yeah.
Finally, I've talked to a lot of people that hosted the show.
Yes.
And especially people like Steve, who's done it a lot.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, people they really prepare. And there seems to be certain people who take this very seriously. They come talk to the writers early on. They want to collaborate.
Those are people who've done it before.
No, there are people who
Those are the ones who might not have done so well.
Go
ahead.
John Hamm, who did it last week,
right.
Had whatever that thing is. People who are just good at it.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, who's on this week, is another one of those who's great at it.
And what makes somebody great at it?
Well, I think I think, quick study. You know, because you're the show is always sort of in a state of becoming. It's not quite there yet. That's happening, and if you can keep still during it and allow it to happen, then it starts to happen, and it continually gets better. But there is lots of reason to panic, and many do.
Being prepared but loose, I think, is the key.
The worst thing is when someone's great on Wednesday. Because then you feel like they won't hold it. Because the good ones keep getting better, and by air they do 3 things you haven't seen all week. Then you're
and
so
dress
impressed.
rehearsal is
Wait, let me make sure I understand that. In other words, they peak on Wednesday?
No, that's bad. But like John Hamm was doing things in the monologue that last week that we hadn't seen him do at all by air.
Yeah, he was here and he was great.
He was learning as he went and figuring out how it worked.
It's bringing your game at 11:30. That's
And do you find people you don't bring your game at 11:30? In other words, but do you find people that you didn't know could do comedy well can do comedy well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I think. Like, I remember being really
like
struck
John
by
McCain
how funny Colin Farrell was.
Yeah,
and how natively funny, which he doesn't need to be to have the career he has.
Going back to like Christopher Lee and people like that. People who were and anybody who's done a fair amount of stage or particularly character actors.
When are you willing to be on camera?
If I'm written for. That's right. Really. I mean, it's not. I mean, and there are lots of things.
That was not your idea to create that opening?
No.
It's surprisingly easy to coax.
That was your idea?
Absolutely.
No. We just read through it, and if my name is on it, then I read it. But no.
Well, we have this opportunity for. Is anybody you would most like to do that you haven't done yet?
Yeah, I'd like to try Bill Maher. Something about him that I want to attempt at some point. Just how outspoken he is.
He's very good when he comes here. Now, don't you think this is a good idea? Dana Bush. I mean, Dana comes in for Bush 41, Will for Bush 43, Barrow for Clinton, bring Aykroyd back for Carter, and Chevy back for Ford. Isn't that a good idea? Huh?
Everything other than the work that
except writing.
Yeah, exactly. No, we don't.
Why is that hard to write? I'm seriously interested. I mean, to look ahead after the election.
This is a negotiating position.
Sure you. What?
This is a negotiating position.
Anything when you just are sizing it up, it seems like it could be, it would be a very, very highly charged situation where people would be expecting a lot.
The reason I would be less inclined to do it.
Too much expectation.
Yeah, and whenever we have those dream ticket shows, where just before we got really beat up by the press in '95, the first show was Steve Martin and Eric Clapton, which seemed like a show we'd already done 10 years earlier. And the expectation was, oh my God, I'm going to stay home and see that. And then you never quite live up to it. And it's always better to come on with.
Is it as much fun today as it's ever been for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come
on.
It involves. It's I mean, I certainly enjoy it.
It's always a negotiation with an answer, isn't it? Yeah. It's always a negotiation for an answer.
I'm too old for this stuff now.
For what stuff? For having fun? What? And for you, sir? It's better. Huh?
Love it. I think I appreciate it more. I think it was always exciting. That time, the last 3-4 hours of it are
when it comes together.
Well, or it doesn't come together. You don't go out, when you go upstairs after dress rehearsal. You're not walking up going, "Well, this one's going to come together." Its ability to scare me. To my core is why I think I'm still there, because you never quite get it right.
Back in a moment. Stay with us.